Okay, it's that time again, clear for takeoff with Rich Kaplan. And for this segment, Rich is going to collaborate with Brandon Ellis. So here we go, Rich, take it away.
Thank you, Howie. In 4 months, history is going to be made in one of the biggest worlds that we know, as humankind will finally be going into space. Commercial flights into space with Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic is the brainchild of Virgin director Richard Branson. For years, it's always been a vision of humankind to go into space. 2001: A Space Odyssey, there were scenes with Pan American Airways using the Orion 1. It touched on how commercialism will ultimately reach space. And now Virgin Galactic has indeed introduced a whole new genre of travel. $150,000 gets you about a half hour to an hour in space. Launching from New Mexico's spaceport, Virgin Galactic will use Spaceship Two, a much larger version of the original Spaceship One, if you remember, which won the X Prize. Spaceship Two will be launched from a medium-sized aircraft into suborbit. You will see the curvature of the Earth. In my opinion, science fiction has finally reached reality. For years, I've always dreamed that we would see commercial flight in space. And as a young adult, it was always a fantasy when I saw 2001 that we would indeed see this happen. Brandon, in your opinion, do you believe that we've reached the apex where now we will see commercial flight? And more importantly, how important is this to the science fiction community?
I think we're at the very start of something special here, really. This, in general, is such a fantastic thing. People are going to take their college funds and they're gonna go straight to this. No college, no future, just this. 30 to 45 minutes of space travel. And these people, they may be homeless, but they have some great stories about space to tell. But no seriousness here, though. It's the start of something beautiful. I think about the people that are going to go on this for the first time. Maybe some young kids, young boy, young girl, maybe saw the Star movies, the War, the Trek, whatever you're into, I don't know. And they're going to go out into space for the first time. And they go up, they see space, they see Earth from a totally different perspective, and that's going to really inspire them. Again, this is the very start of something. But when people see that this is a thing, not only is it going to make money, but it's going to inspire further space travel. They're going to think about certain things. How can we make going to the moon more accessible? Or making, I think you were saying this before to me, hotels, or who knows, Mars. So it's really the start of something. The thing, though, is that when it comes to funding NASA and things like that, we haven't really done too much. We could have been doing a lot better. So, American government, get on that. But in terms of inspiring people, this really is going to go somewhere. It's going to be something special.
Absolutely, Brandon. I think that this is really just the beginning. We've seen NASA launch rockets since the 60s. When I was born in 1970, right after Apollo 11. And I remember hearing stories about Neil Armstrong and the moon launches. And actually, I was only an infant, and I don't really remember much as an infant. You know, you don't expect to, but I remember those launches. And I remember how unified this country was behind our astronauts. Now we have something to unify again over, and that is the fact that we, the United States of America, are launching a commercial spacecraft into orbit. We are going to be launching commercial aviation into space. This is a huge leap in technology, but also in humankind. This is only the beginning. Star Trek talked about exploring new galaxies, new realms, discovering new elements. This is just the beginning. This is only the first step. And the first step is always the most important. But I think that what makes this so special is the fact that we as human beings are finally overlooking the military and doing it ourselves. We're saying, why should I have to take all these tests? Why should I have to join the Air Force? Why should I have to spend all this time and money and training when I can just spend $150,000 and go for an hour into space and see the curvature of the Earth and see my planet for what it truly is? In the Jetsons had flying cars. And we are even starting to see this. Next week, I'm actually going to talk about that. But what's important is that we are only 100 years in aviation. 100 years. It's hard to believe that 100 years we went from a simple plane built out of wood and canvas to commercial jets built out of carbon fiber and technology. And we've gone from flying 100, 200, 300 feet to flying from New York to Perth, to New York to Australia, New York to Hong Kong. But space is a very big step. And science fiction has always talked about it. They've always touched base on it. This is the stuff that dreams are truly made of. And to all the people out there watching this segment, I want you to go to bed tonight and I want you to dream about what space is truly like. I want you to think about Gene Roddenberry and his vision. I know that there are kids out there who have no idea what Star Trek is, but I want you to watch an episode. And I want you to think hard about what we as humans have accomplished and what we have left to accomplish. Because the world is truly a beautiful place. And Brandon, what do you think?
You're promoting Star Trek. You're doing my job for me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it right.
Yeah. But really, this is not only the start of making a few extra bucks. This is the start of space travel. This is the start of moving humanity up to where it really hasn't gone before. As Gene Roddenberry talked about so many decades ago. Now it may actually happen. And the Earth, we love it to death. It's such a beautiful place. But there are a lot of issues, especially environmentally. So if we could start and maybe develop something outside, it's almost beyond our imagination, but it could be a thing with growing time, growing preparation. So you never know. Keep your mind open, be optimistic, and go spend $150,000 of your time. It's probably worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. $150,000 is a lot of money, but to see something that you will be able to pass on to your children, to say that I went into space as a human being, I touched the stars, is huge. It is enormous. There is no greater accomplishment in mankind than when we reached the moon. We really began something special. Mars is next. I do not doubt that within this lifetime, we will see a rocket go to Mars. I don't doubt that at all. And I put the challenge out there, not as an aviation correspondent, I put the challenge out there as a former human being to Congress, to government. Stop talking about the wall and start talking about space. There's so much out there that we have yet to see and accomplish. I believe that the cure for cancer lies in space. I believe that so many illnesses could be cured if we experiment in space. I believe that if we take this time to truly expand our horizons as human beings and stop fighting and start uniting behind one common goal, to explore other worlds, to see what's out there, I believe that'll be the greatest accomplishment of the 21st century. Not robots, not this mega science, but space exploration, space cruising. I believe that the next cruise ships won't be going to Bahamas or to Curacao. They'll be going to Mars. And I want to so much be a part of that in this lifetime as a human being. Brandon?
Rich, I can't help but agree with you. As someone who has really grew up on science fiction, who's loved it, who's appreciated it, I always found it to be fiction as much as I loved it. But to see it become a reality, slowly but surely, That's got to be inspiring, not only to me, but to younger people who could really make a difference and build up this technology. So again, Rich, thank you so much for having me on the segment. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brandon. I just want to end by saying live long and prosper.
All right, thanks to Rich Kaplan and Brandon for a very exciting, illuminating segment. And remember, as the old honeymooners, the great Ralph Brandon would say, to the moon, Alice!